Okay, so I got things a little more situated nicely, and I put the heroes over here, kind of chosen which weapons each one of them was going to get, and have them carrying one food each, one scrap. One thing I wanted to mention is a survivor can carry a max of 4 items, and it could be anything between the weapons, items, and food cards. But they're only allowed to have one weapon. They're only allowed to carry one weapon. But they're allowed to have 4 items total. So one of those has to be a weapon, and then any combination of the food and the items and the like armor accessories that they can also have. So 4 items total. So like I said, I'm trying to break that up and not put it all on one person. So I gave him 2 foods, 1 scrap, 2 weapons. Same here. We gave the dog. He is allowed to carry 1 item of either food item or armory, and I gave the other 2 food cards to the survivors and gave them their 2 weapons. Now I wanted to also mention, I said earlier that we weren't going to set these dials until the feed and fortify phase, but it is actually what the rules said, and this is working from the latest one. But there is a part in Scavenge where you actually have to roll based on your smarts. But we can't do that because we haven't tallied or figured out any of those settings yet, which it says you can do in the feed and the fortify phase. But we need it for the scavenge phase. So what I'm going to say, let's go ahead and do that now so we can have all this stuff set. So how we start our dials here is we're going to start in the firearm skill. So you're going to look at all of your survivors, and you're going to look to see which one of them have this little symbol here. And then you add all those up together. Well, we only have 1 for this squad. So firearm number 1. So we're going to put that firearm skill right on the number 1. And that is what our squad's current firearm skill is. Then we're going to look for our melee. Okay. And for that we actually have 2 for Julie and 1 for Teresa. So that is going to be a melee skill of 3. Looks like I already have set there. Alright. Now what we're going to start seeing is their stats down here. And how we calculate these is for our health, we're going to add all these up. So we have 8 and 9, which is 17. And then 4, which is 21. And then we take our total health, and then we're going to go ahead and set our little wheel here to the 21. So this is our squad's health. Now we're going to look at the second stat on their cards, which looks like a little armor vest. And we have 1 for Teresa, 1 for Julie, and 0 for the dog. So this is going to be cumulative, so it's going to be 2 for our armor. So we're going to set our little middle dial here very carefully. We're going to set it to the 2. So that is our squad's armor. Now our third stat on the cards is a brain. This is what our smarts are. Now we're only as smart as the smartest person in our group. And our smartest person is a 3 for Julie. So we're going to go ahead and set our dial to the 3. And then the last stat is our movement. This is how fast our squad is. And we're only as fast as our slowest person. Our dog is 7, Julie's a 6, and Teresa is a 5. So we are only a 5 speed group. And that's how you set all the dials on your squad. Now, another things to know is when we lose members of our squad through some bad rolls on the zombie side, our health can go down. It can change. And if we actually have a survivor die, then this, we can actually have to reset the dials, and they can actually lose armor and also lose health. Our smarts can go down, and our movement can go down. The 2 things that will never change, they can only go up, are our firearm skill and our melee skill. As long as our squad is fully intact, then these always stay the same. It's assumed that the best person in the group who's actually got skills is training everybody else. So it's being passed down. So we're going to go ahead and do these real quick. For the firearm skill with our 2 people, we have a 2 over here, 1 and a 1, so that makes this one a 2. For melee, we have another 1 and a 1. So we also have 2 as far as melee skill goes. Our health is going to be a 14, 8 and 6. Not super great. And then for our smarts, looks like Felicia is our smartest person with a 3. So we're going to be a 3. And our movement is going to be, well, she's smart, but she's not very fast. So we're only going to be able to move at a 4. So that's going to go ahead and, oh, I forgot the armors. Armor is a 1 and 1, so our group armor is a 2. Okay. So now we have everybody set. Now we can proceed on to the actual phase 1 of the game. And so what the first thing we're going to do in phase 1 is, and remember you always have your little sheet here, your little cheat sheet, is it says the player with the least victory points is the first player of the day. Well, we're both sitting at 0. Nobody's killed anything, nobody's done anything. So for this, basically just roll a die. Okay, so you can do a roll off, you can set it random, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, depending on how many players you have. So I'm just going to say this one's going to be 1, 2, 3, you'll go first, or 4, 5, 6, player 2 will go first. So we got a 1, so player 1's going to go. Alright, and we need to move our guys. They're in the bunker. They both go in there. So this is where they're starting the scenario. First thing they're going to do, after we determine who's going first, is they're going to draw their daily goal card. Now this applies to the first player, and it also applies to the second player. So each of them are going to draw their daily goals. And generally, the way the game works is they do not want you sharing what your daily goals are, because sometimes the goals can they can be a little devious towards the other players. But we'll take a look at what this one is. So you have 2 parts to a daily goal card. They actually have 2 challenges in there. One is one's your goal for the day, and then if you complete that goal, like this one, bullets are good, kill zombies fast, acquire at least 2 ammunitions. If you complete that, then you automatically get your reward, which is going to be 4 victory points. Okay, so this section over here, this is the flavor text up here, but then this section here is your goal for the day. Now you also have a challenge that you can do. And challenge will tell you exactly what you need to do. For instance, bullets are better than survivors. Bullets kill zombies without needing food or shelter. They don't whine at you either. Trade survivors for ammunition. Trading survivors only allowed with this goal card. Trading survivors only allowed with this goal card. Okay, so if you meet the conditions of the challenge, then you get the challenge reward. For instance, you may be ruthless, but that applies to your squad 2. You may use ammunition in place of the health, the med kits. You cauterize the runes with gunpowder. So you actually can use your ammunition cards as a first aid kit. So that's pretty cool, and you get that immediately once the challenge has been met. So you draw your daily goal card, and you leave that here. Generally, if you want to leave it face down, you can leave it face down or face up if you want. Alright, so that is going to be each of the survivors will draw their daily goals. The next one is you draw a scavenge card to get survivors and gear. Alright, so we're going to, for the first player, we're going to draw a scavenge card. So we're going to draw our scavenge card. And this one we do read aloud. We'll read it to everybody. So, for example, the cop shop. This station is just a pile of rubble. The sign out front is the only indication of what once stood here. Ironically, the donut shop next door is nearly untouched. Your mouth waters at the thought of tasty donuts. Donuts. Inside there are a couple of rotting corpses. Do you turn away in disgust, or can you stomach the searching the premise? So here is an example of what I was saying. It actually needed our stats for our first test that we're going to be taking. And we couldn't do that without getting our hero sheets configured here. So I want you to pass an intelligence check, or a smarts check, I guess is what they call it, with a success of 5 or 6. So when they want you to do a test on your smarts, you'll be rolling as many dice as your smart. So, for instance, we have a smart of 3. So that means that we're going to be rolling 3 dice for this check. Okay, remember we pass on a success of 5 or 6. So we're going to go ahead and roll. And even though that one may not be a valid one, we still did get this one right here, so it was a 6. And it says here, pass if you find an unsealed container of chocolate frosting. You hit the jackpot. Gain 2 food. So we go ahead and draw 2 food cards, which goes into our inventory. More good food. So I'm just going to stick that right under there for them. And we don't need to read the fail because we didn't fail. But if we failed, we wouldn't get... we'd actually have something bad happen to us. So if we did roll a fail, it says you hurl. One survivor needs extra food during the feed and fortify phase. Continue with your normal scavenging roll. Alright, so we took care of the first part, but we still need to take care of the second part. Okay, and again it says roll your smarts ability, success on 5 or 6. So we're going to do this all, we're going to roll again on our smarts, and we're looking for a success of 5 or 6. Okay, well we got everything, 5 and 6s. So now we look down here. We have a fail and a success. Well, we didn't fail, so we don't look at what's up here, but we did succeed. So on success, we draw 2 more food cards. Okay. And if you remember what I was saying earlier, we have a limitation for what a hero can carry. Right now, I'm already at capacity because I have 3 food cards on both of my survivors and 1 of their weapons. They're already full. They can't carry any more. But the thing is it wants us to also draw 2 item cards and 1 armory card. And I'm not really sure what it actually says about discarding or not. I'll actually have to look that up here real quick and come back to you. So just hang on 1 minute. I'll go, well actually, hang on 1 split second while I go look this up. Okay, so the only thing I could find about it after a little bit of internet searching and scrounging through the manual here was it's kind of unclear, especially in Phase 1. They actually bring it up and talk about it if you're in Phase 4 about what you need to do, but the only clear, possibly clear answer I could get, it was just discard the extra items. Okay, and there's no real order to what they could be. So I'm going to go ahead and take back the 2 food cards and say first that I just want to go ahead and get the 2 item cards, or maybe 1 armory card and 1 item card, since I know I'll be maxed out at that point. So I'll do that. I'll go with 1 item card and scrap, and I'll get another armory card. And it's a melee weapon. Maybe I should have kept the food. Okay. Because I can't... I'm going to have to discard the melee weapon because I can't carry it. Because I'm only allowed to carry 2 weapons or 1 weapon per survivor. So I'll take the scrap and I'll go ahead and take the other item card. Yeah, the other item card. Okay. So this is also scrap. And now both of these are done. So that finishes out the... oh no, it doesn't finish it out, sorry. So what we do now is... well, I just actually came across something. So I was reading in the new revised manual, and it actually said that actually says, do not worry about who's carrying what gear just yet. Carry limit doesn't count until the feed and fortify phase. So that means that I don't even have to worry about my limit here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 2 food cards back and go ahead and add those back to our 2 survivors. And I'm not going to take the bat back because I already know I can't carry more than 1 weapon. So we're just going to leave that one up there, and then we're going to leave these 2 in my inventory, and then I guess we'll settle up during the feed and fortify phase. And then so then we move on to the next step, which is drawing our new map tile for this. Okay, so we draw a scavenge card to get survivors and gear. Any new survivors are turned sideways to show they are inactive until you feed them. So we didn't gain any survivors, but we still have a few more steps to go through. And if we had drawn any survivors, they would actually be placed sideways, indicating that we can't use them until we actually feed them. Which would be in the feed and fortify phase. So now what we're going to do is we draw our new map tile in the scavenging phase, and we're going to draw from just the bottom of the pile here, and this is for each player is going to do this. So we've drawn this one, and then we need to figure out where we're going to put it. An interesting tile that I drew here was one that actually has an outline. This is actually a piece that goes to another base location. And the way it wants you to place these tiles is place them in a way that the rest of the tiles of this base set could be built out. So for example, if I put the tile like this, if I built it like that, then the rest of this base set would not be able to be built out because now we have these tiles blocking it. So we would want to try to build this out in a way, especially when they said make sure your borders match to make it, pleasing. We can put it around any one of these tile areas here in a way that we could actually build out the rest of this the base tile set. Okay. Now another thing that you want to note is that you actually get an extra victory point, or you get a victory point, if you build it as close, the tile you drew, if you actually place it as close as possible to where the bunker is on the map. Okay, so this is our bunker entrance. So the closest places we could build this would either be right here or say right here. Okay, and we'd want to try to build it in a way that allows it to still be built out in the future if we draw any more of those tiles. So we've placed it as close as we could to the bunker space, which means first player, yellow, gets to move up 1 in the victory points chart. Okay, and that's immediate. Now, we look back on our card. It tells us exactly how many zombies we get to place on our new tile. Now we succeeded. So instead of us doing 5 zombies for a fail, we actually are going to do 3 zombies. And when we're placing zombies on a new tile, it wants us to use the little, symbols on our tiles that says place zombies on spaces with the biohazard marks or the radioactive mark or any of the yield icons, the little triangle yield icons. But on this particular tile we only see one icon on there, so this is where we're going to be placing zombies. And here is something we can't place any zombies on any tiles like that. So that would be like this one or this one, I believe. because it wants us to place here. So I think these are a valid one right here, and then these two right here. So we have 3 zombies that we need to place. So we always start with our highest number that we can and give it to the green. So this would be 2. And then we'll place that right there on the space that we need. Now there's no other spaces to actually place the zombies like it wants to. So what we have to do is place it adjacent to one of the spawn points. And we can place the zombies however we want to, in whatever configuration that we want to on the board. Okay, so we've chosen this, and we also can't pin the zombies in. So we've got our 2 zombies placed, or our 3. So 2 for the green and 1 for the gray. So now that we have our tile or our zombies placed, then we can go ahead and move on to the next player. Okay, so this is basically signifies the end of phase 1 for the first player, or the active player that's going, and then we can go ahead and discard our scavenge card. Okay, and then it goes to the next player in line. So we have our player 2. Player 2 is going to draw his daily goal card, which you already did. And sometimes after you get these, rolling along, a lot of them are going to be doing these at the same exact time, kind of all together, and just kind of help speed things up a little bit. So he'll draw. So for the second player, he'll draw his goal card, which he already has. Then he'll draw a scavenge card, and then he'll start rolling through the tests that he needs to. He'll look in and he'll do his smart checks. He'll find out what he needs. He'll see if he failed or succeed. And then he'll also, at the end of that, once he's gained his cards or survivors or anything else, he's then going to draw his tile and place it on the map, placing it, if he wants the extra victory point, be placing it as close to the bunker as he can. If he doesn't want to, he can place it all the way over the side and not get any points. It's up to the player. And then at that point, they spawn the zombies on the card, depending on what they got as far as a fail or success. And that is phase 1. Now, one example I did want to bring up is on the scavenge cards. If you actually draw one that is called Night Owl, it says Night Owl up at the top, this means you'll actually be taking your character out. See, they're still in the bunker during this part. But this one is actually going to be taking your... you're actually forced, it says, to stick around until dark. Place your miniature on the scavenge tile you drew this phase. During the feed and fortify phase, which follows, your squad may not build fortifications or trade. So really what it's doing is it's forcing you out of the bunker to stay during the scavenging phase, to not be able to come back to the bunker. Okay, so if you drew one that said Night Owl, you would actually be placing your miniature on the tile that you just drew, not the one that the other player drew. That it's only if you were the one to draw the Night Owl, then you place it on the tile you drew. And you can place it wherever you want to on that tile, as long as it's a legal space. And it could be as far away from the zombies as possible. But you won't be in your bunker for phase 2, which is the feed and fortify. And you won't be able to feed any of your survivors that need to be fed. So it's kind of a toss-up to make that choice, because you can choose to not do it and fail, but it's up to you. So again, just want to show that one for example. But we've got them. So once you're done with that, you discard your cards, and I guess I should go ahead, and since that is the one he did, I'll need to go ahead and run that through. So this one is day attack. Discard and redraw if on day 1. We are on day 1, so we're going to discard that one and redraw. Okay, this one was I drew as an example, so I want to make sure to get a nice fresh one. Alright, so we have Haunted House. The world has moved on, and you have followed. You approach a boarded up house, breaking through the door, and you see absolute darkness. Not even the light bleeds in. Making your way deeper into the front room, you come across a figure. Shrouded in black, it speaks. All men serve the beam. Wait, we're fighting zombies, not slow mutants. But I belong to another world than this. You rescue one survivor. Okay, so we rescue one survivor, so we know we automatically bring one survivor over into our group here. But he is inactive because he's not been fed. Alright, so now we're going to roll on our success, our smarts ability. Our smart is a 3, this is for player 2. So we're going to go ahead and roll these dice. And hopefully we can get a 5 or a 6. Okay, we got a 6, so we're good. So our success is we draw 1 food, 2 items, and 1 armory card. So that was 1 food, 2 items, and then 1 armory card. Okay. So we drew a firearm, first aid, duct tape, which can be scrap or first aid, and then radioactive food. Okay, well we don't want to do anything with those just yet until our feed and fortify phase, so we'll kind of set those off to the side a little bit. And then we know we have 3 zombies that are going to be spawning because of our success. So we need to go ahead and decide what is our tile that we're going to be laying down. So we're going to draw from the bottom. Looks like we just have a regular road corner here. So we know that this tile here needs to be completed out this way. So we have a choice of doing it anywhere around the board, but remember, we want to be cool like first player. And go ahead and set that tile up there. And that is as close to the bunker as we can get. So red now also moves up 1. We know we have 3 zombies, but on this space we do not have any symbols on us to show us where to spawn the zombies. So it's our choice. Anywhere, all legal spaces. It could be, like I said, anywhere on that tile. I'd like to spawn them as far away from the bunker as I can because that's the first thing they're going to go for unless they have some survivors in their line of sight. So I'm going to keep them as far away from that bunker as possible. And that finishes out phase 1 for all of the players. And then we move on to phase 2. So once we come back, I'll try to get this a little bit cleaned up. And then we'll start walking through phase 2. See you guys then.